Hello everyone, and happy Hanukkah. We celebrate Hanukkah beginning on the 25th of the Hebrew month of Kislev. And we know that Hanukkah is a universally celebrated holiday. Why is Hanukkah so universal as compared to, let's say, many of the other holidays which actually, in terms of hierarchy, are more important than Hanukkah, are celebrated with much more elaborate ritual? Hanukkah is universal not just because of the presents, but because of a variety of themes. Over the next 8 days, I will share with you some reasons for Hanukkah's popularity, sharing meanings and stories, some customs, and we will share some songs as well. Songs you will hear from our cantor. What makes Hanukkah so important, you ask? Well, first of all, it is a home celebration. Hanukkah is a holiday we don't need to celebrate elsewhere. As much as I enjoy synagogue and the company of people in the synagogue, there is something convenient about celebrating a holiday within the comforts of our own home. Second, there are basic rituals for Hanukkah, but they are easy rituals. They're experiential. They're things that we can enjoy, and they are fun. In addition, Hanukkah stresses the theme of freedom, and freedom is a concept which resonates universally, not only for Jews, but for everyone throughout the world. And it's interesting that for many people, the two most popular Jewish holidays, the holidays that are most celebrated, are Hanukkah and Passover, Hanukkah and Pesach. Both are holidays with a central focus in the home. Both are holidays which extol the values of freedom. So the combination of theme of freedom and the idea that we celebrate at home makes those two holidays so widely celebrated throughout the Jewish world. And Hanukkah, therefore, is one of those. Also for Hanukkah, children are central. The rituals are attractive to children. Basically, the rituals consist of lighting a Hanukkah menorah. So it's something which resonates with our children. And the meals, for those of us who are cooks and chefs, the meal is very simple. Traditionally, something along the lines of latkes and jelly donuts. Easy, enjoyable, and again, fun. So I would like to start this first of 8 videos with a brief explanation of the lighting of our Hanukkah menorah, because that really is the central ritual for this holiday. First of all, you should know that the Hanukkah menorah has a specific name. We refer to it as a Hanukkiah. You hear the name Hanukkah within that. The menorah, the 7-branch menorah, is one of the national symbols of Israel, but that is not the specific menorah for Hanukkah. So in order to distinguish between that menorah and the menorah for Hanukkah, we refer to the Hanukkah menorah as the Hanukkiah, and that is the term that I am going to use throughout these videos whenever it comes up. Okay, aside from that, we know that the Hanukkah menorah, I have a creative one, an artistic one, and I don't know if I'll be able to really show it that clearly, but you see that the Ashkenazic, well, actually all of the Hanukkah menorahs have 8 branches plus a 9th one for what we call the shamash, the server. Now in Ashkenazi tradition, the server is the candle by which we light the other candles. In the Sephardic traditions, or several of the Sephardic and the Middle Eastern traditions, the custom is to use, the practice is to use a Hanukkah menorah with oil to reflect the first Hanukkah celebration in the temple when that small jar of oil was found. We'll discuss that later on, but in many of the Sephardic and Middle Eastern traditions, the practice is to use olive oil. Now, when you use olive oil, you cannot take the shamash, which is here in the middle, and use it to light the others, but the shamash is lit first, and then all the other candles are lit first. So there is a shamash in every candle, in every Hanukkiah, regardless of the region of the world in which you live. But there is a distinction between the general Ashkenazic practice of using candles and the general Sephardi Middle Eastern practice using olive oil, and both are acceptable. The tradition again is to recall the oil in the temple, and we'll come to that in subsequent videos, the whole nature of the miracle. There are several other traditions about lighting the candles before we actually explain the procedure for lighting. Hanukkah is one of the only holidays where there is an element of sharing with the general world. On Passover, we have a Seder within the confines of our home. Many of the holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, aside from the meals which are at home, we celebrate in the synagogue or in our various houses of worship, whatever and however they may be. But Hanukkah is the one holiday where there is a message that we share with the general world outside of the Jewish community. The practice is, and it goes back to our ritual texts, of Pirsume Nisa, that we are supposed to publicize the miracle. And that is why many of us take the Hanukkiah and we place it in a window of our home so that everybody passing by can see. Now, because there is a practice of not using, there is a Jewish tradition talks about not using the Hanukkiah for anything except gazing upon it. We're not supposed to read by it. We're not supposed to pick it up and move it anywhere. So for that reason, I'll try to see if I can do this, many of us put a Hanukkah menorah, usually an electric one, in the window so that everybody can see. And you'll notice that the first light is here on the left. That is because the Hanukkah menorah is supposed to be viewed from outside, the correct way, which is from right to left. And we'll come back to that in a minute. Live TV. I'm not quite an expert at this, but you get the idea. So many of us will put an electric menorah in the window because we can just turn that on. We don't have to take our Hanukkiah that we've lit with candles or with oil and pick it up and move it to a window. We just have one that's there if we're able to do that, because it's supposed to appear from the outside the correct way that it is lit. Now, we've said all of that. The procedure for lighting the Hanukkiah is this. We place the candles from right to left. Each day we add a candle, it will be to the left of the original one. So we place them from right to left, but we always light from left to right. In other words, when we place the candles in the Hanukkiah, we begin with the first one, and we go from right to left. But we always light the newest candle first. So, for example, if there are 4 candles in here, we would light the 4th one first, and then we would proceed accordingly. And the same is with the olive oil. I'll try to show that to you. We light it from left to right, but we place the oil in from right to left. So we always light the newest candle first. Why do we start with 1 and move up to 8? The ancient great Rabbi Hillel spoke about Ma'alin B'Kodesh. We always increase our levels of holiness, and therefore we start with the first candle, and we add a candle each night to emphasize the idea that we are increasing our levels of of holiness, of sanctity each night, that we continue to go forward as opposed to backward. When we light the candles, the first night we recite 3 blessings. The first blessing is for Hanukkah. The second blessing is for the miracles, She'asa Nisim, the miracle that took place on Hanukkah. And on the first night only, we recite the Shehecheyanu, which is a prayer we often say at festival occasions and at other times, various times during the year, to celebrate the fact that God has kept us in life and has enabled us to reach this special occasion. But we only recite the Shehecheyanu on the first night. The subsequent nights, we recite 2 blessings. Now, there are other ritual prayers and melodies associated with the lighting. Not everyone participates in all of them. The most essential ritual is the blessing. So the 3 blessings the first night, and then 2 on subsequent nights. Many of us include a passage which comes from the Talmud, Hanerot Halalu, Anachnu Madlikin. These candles we light for the Nisim, for the miracles, for the Niflaot, for all of the wonders, for the Tishuot, all of the salvations, and Nichamot, for all of the victories. So it's a paragraph from the Talmud in which we celebrate God's enabling us to conquer adversaries and to rise above them and to live, to be able to celebrate daily life and to celebrate holidays like Hanukkah. In addition to that passage, Hanerot Halalu, there are some who include the biblical Psalm number 30. It's a psalm which is an integral part of the daily service. Mizmor Shir Chanukat Habayit LeDavid, a song dedicated to the house of David. The word Hanukkah appears in this first line, Chanukat Habayit, dedication of the house of David. We actually employ this term, we use the term Chanukat Habayit, the dedication of a house, whenever we move into a new home or to a new apartment. We have a celebration that's called a Chanukat Habayit, dedication of the house. And because the word Hanukkah, which is a word meaning dedication, appears at the beginning of this psalm, there are many people who recite this psalm. It's a psalm of praise to God, again, recognizes all of the wonderful miracles which we have enjoyed. And finally, many of us conclude the Hanukkah lighting ritual by singing Ma'ot Tzur, which the literal translation of that expression is stronghold of rock. It's a tzur, rock, is a synonym for God. It is a term that we use to recognize that God is unbreakable and that God is always there as our ultimate source of strength. Ma'ot Tzur is a song in which we celebrate not only the deliverance of Hanukkah, but in subsequent verses, deliverance from Pharaoh, deliverance from Achashverosh and Haman. So Ma'ot Tzur is not limited to Hanukkah, but it is a song we generally sing at Hanukkah time to recognize our survival, to recognize how with God's inspiration we've overcome all of our enemies and we are able to celebrate. So that will give you a little bit of an idea. Sorry about the glitch in the middle, but I hope that your Hanukkah lighting will be filled with joy. And as we say on Hanukkah, Chag Orim Sameach, have a very happy Festival of Lights.